Okay.
I'm ready.
Yes. So Paula is, we'll call you the financial guru.
Yes.
And you've been in finance
25 years.
And you know all about money.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes. So this is the Black Dave Ramsey, the Black woman version of Dave Ramsey. And anytime I speak about money, don't date a broke man, I get one or two comments, especially from men. Oh, you're a gold digger. How dare you? What's wrong? What if he loves you the right way? And this and that and the third. And I'm just on here before Paula introduces herself to say this. This video is not about bringing anybody down. It is only about lifting you up as a woman to get your finances in order before you get serious with a man who especially does not have his finances in order, because truth be told, over half of marriages end in divorce over money. Okay? Money is a big issue. It is a big deal, and we don't talk about it enough. So that's why I have you here, Paula. So introduce yourself. Who are you?
I am Paula Sardinas. I have 25 years in the financial arena, financial education, investing, banking, and working with credit unions. And I want to talk to you today about how you can be financially savvy.
Okay.
The empowered, independent woman.
Yes. And here, I feel like, so Instagram has the smallest screen. So why I say, and Champ wants to be apparently in the video as well. Okay. So everybody say hi to Champ. Exactly. So let's talk about credit first, because credit is a big deal, a bigger deal than I think people know. Champ, you're going to have to go. Go lay down. Go over here. Go lay down. Sit. Good boy. You can sit right there, okay? Because you don't know nothing about money. Sit down.
They cost money.
Right. They cost money. You don't know nothing about money. Okay. So credit is a bigger deal than most people know. What does bad credit mean? What does that mean?
When you hear the term bad credit, what that basically means is it limits your access to capital into things. Okay. So whether it's a student loan that you want to apply for, a credit card, a car to get you back and forth to work, a mortgage, having adverse credit or negative things impact your credit, basically it sets you back, because credit is really the equalizer. Yeah.
And when people are going for loans, being that you are the financial guru, you guys look at that.
Absolutely.
And quote unquote judge if they are able to access this loan, get the car, get the house, and you will say no on something that is bad credit.
Yeah, well, credit worthiness, when you think about credit, think about it like this. A bank is looking at you and they're trying to determine what is your propensity to pay, what is your ability to repay us. And so without knowing you, if I'd never met Rika, all I get is a report from either the 3 credit bureaus. And for me, that's her history before I meet you and hear your story.
Okay.
And so a lot of times with a bank, they'll look at your history. They'll see either you're paying on time, paying late, you've got some things in collections, and they're going to make a decision right there based on their risk model, whether or not they want to extend you credit.
Right. So when you marry somebody with quote unquote bad credit, does that bring your credit score down? Would you have to help pay off their debt? What happens when you get into a marriage, a legal binding certificate? What happens to, like, say, so my credit, I'm out of there, y'all. What would happen with me if I married somebody who was, are we allowed to say numbers? Are you allowed to say numbers? Like, what would be a bad credit score?
So let me give you an idea. Most people can get something utilizing credit. Yeah. Let's say if they're around, honestly, 590. That's called subpar credit. So think about credit like this. Yeah. The higher the number between 350 and 850, the lower the interest rate. The lower your interest rate, the less money you're paying. Okay. And so for me, when I think about good or bad credit, I started like bottom line is a 620, because that's where you need to be to even get a house.
Oh, wow.
620 is the minimum, whether you're a mortgage broker, FHA will work with you. Yeah. And so the question is...
So then that can affect, just one question. So that can affect me if I marry somebody with a 500 credit score and trying to buy a house with him.
He's going to bring you down, or he won't be able to be on the mortgage. And this is the thing when she asked the question about marriage. It's not about judging somebody based on their past financial situations. Right. But when you go, it determines who is what we call the primary borrower at the top of the loan, who's at the bottom, and who can be on there. Yeah. At a 500 credit score, he probably can't even be on the loan. Right. So it's not, the two of you don't have a house, you have a house.
Right. And then that burden is just put on me, especially if we divorce or, you know, something of
Absolutely.
that nature. So when I say it is not wise to date a broke man, I'm not saying, oh, that person is bad. What I'm saying is I've already struggled. I'm done struggling. I'm 36 now, unless something disastrous happens, God forbid, or whatever. Hopefully from here on out, I will be making wise choices. And one of those choices is who I decide to allow into this space that is mine. You know, the Bible says, guard your heart.
Absolutely.
And I have not guarded it in the past, especially with financial situations. And I have now learned that that is not very wise. I am not saying you, Tommy, Justin, David, whatever, you're not, people can't be bad people. And that's psychology and what I believe. You can make bad choices. And unfortunately, the choices that you make in life can hinder what you do in the future, including dating. So I choose not to. And so I told you I brought you in because I want women to understand if you have to, you can do it by yourself.
Absolutely.
You can. You are worthy regardless of your relationship status. You don't need the man to save you, to help you, whatever. And you're going to have to learn how to make better decisions. So when you get into a marriage, say you divorce, and are you going to have to help them pay off debt because you guys got married or no?
You absolutely. So I was telling Rika this story when I divorced in 2007. My wonderful, lovely ex-husband, wink, wink, nod, nod, had me $1 million upside down in debt.
I'm sorry, $1 million?
$1 million. See, that's where you need 2 commas and 6 zeros. $1 million.
See, my little ex put me $10,000 in debt. She had 1 million. Excuse me?
1 million. That's what happens when you're successful. And 2 things that I learned from that experience. Number 1, do not marry somebody and you are the primary breadwinner. Don't do it. It's not that he was bringing nothing to the table. He wasn't bringing enough. Yeah. But also number 2, in going through my divorce, I was facing a substantial amount of alimony because Washington State is also a community property state, and I was from Florida at the time. And you have to keep people in the lifestyle they became accustomed to. And we see women do it all the time. But what women don't understand is divorces are gender neutral. And so the same way that men have to pay alimony, so do women. Yeah.
Because you hear about the NBA players, and we always hear about celebrities' lives, right?
It happens to successful women too.
Wow.
So the lesson that I learned, because I've been with my husband since I was 19, was how to separate your money. Yeah. How to make sure you put your money up. Because I had to rebuild my wealth. I had a business I had to sell, and I had to rebuild and recover my wealth after my divorce. Yeah, my friend Anthony goes, 1 million. Oh, hell no. Listen. And I thought my little measly 10,000 was nothing compared to that. Yes. But I would like to say, just on a side note, Paula is now happily married to a wonderful man. Yes. And doing, and y'all got your financials together. But together. Do you still keep your bank account separate? How does that, not to get in your business, you don't want to share it. No, absolutely. And so that was a good point, because I had been burned and I made more money than my husband coming into the marriage. Yeah. One of the things that I did is, the Bible says, he who finds a wife finds a good thing. Yes. Is I put my husband through a rigorous credit counseling. And so I helped my husband to raise his credit score, and I helped him to build up his account. Yeah. And we were probably married 5 years before we combined them.
Wow. Okay. So did you do the helping him before you guys got married?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely. On our ladies, and I'm honestly, I'm being 100% real with you. Yeah. On our second date, I asked my husband what his credit score was. I was like, do you have children? Do you have student loans?
And y'all think I mean.
What your credit look like? And then I slipped in, I said, and I come with a prenup. And I remember my husband being just very honest with me, and he was just like, I don't have children, but I have Sally Mae, who is his current girlfriend. Right. Sally Mae.
Sally Mae about to get paid off here in about a week.
Of, loans and everything. And I said, okay. And I had my husband, at the time we were dating, put all of his bills in an Excel spreadsheet. Yep. And then we worked on a plan to pay down his debt, because when you marry somebody, you take that on.
Look at that.
And I told him, I said, no disrespect, I ain't marrying all that debt again.
No.
And so we had to work that out. And we also started doing things like, he'd never put money in a 401k. We talked about doing that. We had IRAs and investments, because I told him, I said, my goal is to be your helpmate, but to lift you, to get you to the same level that I am. Yeah. But before we combine those finances, I'm going to need to see that grow.
Okay. So see, and that's what so this is a point, right? Because everybody's like, but what if, so if you're just tuning in, we're talking about why it's not wise to date a broke man. Okay. And again, no disrespect to people who are quote unquote broke and have bad credit. you can change your life. And hopefully this will encourage you too, because obviously men are not the only ones broke. Girls, you know, I'll be on you about your money as well.
Yes, I have sons. We don't want no broke women either.
Exactly. No. Get your coin, boo boo. So this is what I wanted. This is what I love that you said, because everybody goes, well, but what if he's a good man and you guys have that chemistry, or he's the one, which I don't believe in soulmates. I don't believe in any of that. But okay, if you have those feelings and you want to pursue dating him, what Paula did was she put him on the treadmill of trying to get out of debt. He showed action toward it and worked on it and wasn't lazy and didn't complain, got his ish together, and then they got married. So if you are dating somebody and you're like, oh Lord, his credit score is 500. Okay, but I really like him. I'm going to try to help him out. And he doesn't do it. Time to go. Bye.
It's called man with a plan.
Yes.
That's what we call it. Because this was my thing. A person has to demonstrate to you that they're willing to work for what they want.
Yes.
And at the time, my husband now, he went out, he actually got a second job. He wasn't doing anything at night. And so when we put together his plan, he did not have enough income.
Where are these men at?
I'm telling you, a rising tide lifts all boats. Women, sometimes we have to be the tide, because you have to come to the table and be serious. And I told him, I said, listen, prenup, these are my assets. This is what I'm worth. And I showed him a documentation where I had filed bankruptcy. Like, Rika, I had been bankrupt.
Yeah, well, $1 million. If a dude leaves you $1 million in debt, I'm pretty sure that's how you got
bankrupt. And what I explained to him is, I won't be making this mistake again. And so we sat down with his bills, because he was a good man. He did have a good heart. And not being rich is not a disqualifier.
No, it's not. Yeah, exactly.
Not a disqualifier. But I was just like, okay, you can be a man, but are you a man with a plan? And so he said, well, explain to me what you mean by plan. I was like, well, there's a way, cutting back. We don't have to eat out. I know how to cook. You know how to cook. There are things we can do to get you out of this debt. I said, but there's an income deficit. And so he was like, well, how do you feel about me working a second job at night? I'm an executive. I work 20 hours a day. I feel real good if you can pay off this debt. And that's what he did. He basically, for the first year, because we got married after dating for about a year. Okay. But for the first 2 years we were together, my husband worked 2 jobs.
And so if he would have shown that he, because men like to tell us what we want to hear, right? Oh, I got it. What do you think your timeline would have been? 6 months in, a year in, if he was showing
30 days.
He was
30 days.
Listen, y'all. Listen, and you think
habit in 30
21 days to make a habit.
Okay.
No, I agree. I agree. And all you need is action. I don't like people who, just trying to just talking, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I don't like people who say, oh, I wish I could do this, or I want to do this, but then there's no action behind it, because the only way to change your life is with action. You only change your life with movement, not complaining. Oh my God, I'm $10,000 in debt. I'm $1 million in debt, but what's on Netflix?
Thank you.
That does not get you out of debt.
Wishing and working. And so you got to have a plan. And if you see the man has a plan, it's okay. If the plan doesn't work, it's okay if there are stops and starts. But the fact that he had, within 30 days of me saying, I'm coming back to see you, I want to see what your plan is. He had a whole another 40-hour-a-week job. And it was like, this money's going here, and we were going into the Excel spreadsheet. And he would say, okay, so when I get paid, I got to pay this, I got to pay this, and I'm paying that off. And we saw, Discover Card paying off, some of the student loans paid off. When you see that, then you know that, I was like, this is something, I can work with.
We can work with that, So that's for me, and I tell my girls in Singleness University, when you're out here dating, I don't believe in busting it wide open for every dude, Tom, Dick, and Harry. What I believe is in data collection. You are learning who that man is on a deeper level, because what's your favorite color ain't cutting it. It never has cut it. It ain't cutting it, especially in 2019. So you are going to have to do a lot of sifting if you want a happy and healthy relationship. And obviously I want that for, if you want to be married and stuff, I want that for you. And there are certain ways, certain actions you're going to have to take to get there. Now let's talk about you as the woman. So, because I've heard a lot of women say, well, I'm in a lot of debt, so how can I expect him to not be in a lot of debt? Okay, well then you don't need to be dating, in my opinion.
No,
you need to get that together.
You need to work on you. So I got divorced in 2007. I met my husband in 2012. And so you need to have what I call a self-empowerment plan. I would not have been good for anybody. So I not only needed to get my finances together, I was a mom, I needed to get myself together, make sure my kids were stable. And so women, don't be afraid. I love what Rika said about doing the work. And setting a higher expectation for yourself. We can't just go to the table expecting to eat. We got to bring something
to the table, especially in 2019.
You really do.
Yeah.
You really do.
And so for me, obviously, most of you, if you follow me, you know, 2019, well, actually really December 2018, I was like, oh, after $10,000 in debt because of the boy. If you haven't read the $10,000 Boyfriend, let me know. I'll send you the blog. It's justmerika.com. But anyway, and I also have my student loans and my own debt. I was maybe around 8 on my own. Then I had some student loan, and he put me in $10,000 in debt. And I was like, oh, I had never seen that much debt in my life. For me, I have always been okay with money. I could have been better. But that scared me. And I was like, I'm sorry. I live a certain way. I traveled. I kicked it. And so that scared me. And so I said, okay, well, guess what I'm about to do this year? Get out of debt. And then I put action to it. So I started following Dave Ramsey. I started reading and having the action plan. And here I sit to you today, 10 months later, 10 months and 4 days, since it's October 4th, right? It's the 4th.
Yes,
now debt free, $11,000 paid off on my own. Then I refinanced this house that my dad made me buy 6 years ago, but I'm glad I listened. And so I did it on my own, and I'm very proud of myself. And so I know that you can do it. And mine wasn't as much as Paula's, and you have kids. So I always hear, oh, but I have kids. It's hard. I can't.
No, it's pay yourself first. I started doing small things like we had cable, but no one was really watching cable. Cut that off, $230 a month. You multiply that by 12.
Yeah.
I'm looking at the amount of money that you spend eating out. Like I put everything into a budget.
Yeah.
Cook more, cut out necessities. I was able to find $2,000 or $3,000 a month, and that money went directly towards bills, directly towards principal.
Yep.
I was telling Rika, I said I invested in my 401k and IRAs because when I have a difficulty, I can borrow from me. I'm my own bank.
Yeah.
Savings accounts across multiple banks, but I taught myself where you are is not where you're going to end up.
Yeah. If you put action to it.
If you got
to put action to it.
Some sacrifice. I mean, you know, so I wasn't always, you know, getting the latest bag or, you know, getting the makeup. Sometimes the girlfriends would call and say, do you want to have wine? No, because I'm having water today.
Exactly.
But that's okay because you know what? Last year I was in Hawaii. So, you know,
she got it together.
But you save that money and then you look at it and you go, okay, well, look at how my money is working for me. Now, how can I grow it? How can I invest it to make my money work harder than I'm working?
Right. So I want to give you the first step. So I truly believe, if you're drowning in debt, you're living in chaos, you should not be focused on dating. Unfortunately, society teaches us after high school or after college, the goal is marriage and kids.
It really isn't.
It's not. Okay. The goal should be, okay, who am I? Let me explore myself. Let me get myself together. So maybe you're in your 20s or 30s, as I am. I'm 36. And you're like, but I don't want to be alone forever. Let me tell you something. If you're miserable now, and maybe Paula, you will agree, but if you're miserable now, you are not going to be happy in a relationship. Money does matter. It matters more than you maybe know because you have never been married, but it matters in a marriage, does it?
It's the simplest thing. Not only does it matter, but think about it like this. Nobody owes you your happiness.
Yeah. You
have to be responsible for your own happiness. And so you need to be that whole person when you meet another whole person. Yep. That's whole mentally, spiritually, and financially. Yep. So those are the three things: mentally, physically, and financially. If I have money and I'm good mentally, but spiritually I'm not grounded, it's not going to work. And
so in your singleness, that's what you should be working on. So the first thing, what's the first thing somebody should do? And I'll tell you the first thing I did, but I want Paula, since she's the financial guru, to explain to you what's the first thing you should do. If they're like, Paula, but I'm $72,000 in debt, you know, I make $40,000 a year. What's the first thing I need to do? I'm drowning.
First of all, you need to own it. Most of the time when I see people and they say I'm $72,000 in debt, they're really not. They're counting everything, including things that they can cut off or things that they don't need.
Okay.
And so what I tell people to do is write everything down. Yep. And what we do is we break your bills out into needs, which are your necessities. This is what I have to have to live.
To live. Food.
Food. Maslow's hierarchy needs: food, shelter, clothes. Yep. Then we have our wants, and then we have our girl bye.
Okay.
Because girl, you need to let that stuff go.
Yes.
And so once we start breaking that down,
girl, you mean like girl buy? I you meant girl B U Y.
No, girl,
I was like, what is, okay, so like buy, you don't need the Chanel bag. You don't need that. You will not die if you don't have Dutch Bros.
Yeah.
You could get the coffee at work.
Yes, girl,
it's free.
Girl,
okay.
Bye, girl.
Okay,
bye, girl.
Got you. Yes.
And then we start going through it. And so, like she said, we look at the bye girls. Like, okay, well, you don't need that. And then we see how much that was costing you.
Yeah.
And then we go over and we look at the needs and we say, okay, well, let's look at within your needs and start quantifying that. Yep. You know, Safeway has good groceries too. You don't necessarily need to go to Fred Meyer, and Walmart has good produce. You start breaking all that down. You don't necessarily
need to go to Yokes. I love Yokes, but it's expensive.
Hey, Walmart, $1.99.
You may have to be a Walmart girl for a year or two.
Thank you.
I had to be.
Breaking that down, and then we get into what we call like our wants. And my question is, how bad do you want it?
Yeah.
Do you want it bad enough to continue to be in debt for it? Do you want it enough to pay the credit card company 29-30% interest for it? And if you don't, then you move some of your wants to bye girl.
Okay.
Bye girl.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, I heard you say clothes, but I will tell you, I didn't buy any new clothes for 8 months. I was like, I have enough clothes. I have enough Jordans. And listen, I'm a Jordan girl. Oh, God. I'm a tomboy. And I love sneakers. But I still haven't bought a new pair, but I'm about to, because I was like, I got some money.
After she pays herself,
yes, exactly.
Money her CD.
Exactly. Because I do want to end on where I'm going to put my nugget, and we'll talk about that here in a second.
MJ's already rich.
Yeah, Michael Jordan's already rich. I don't need to pay him no more. Phil Knight, who created Nike, already rich. I don't need to pay him no more. So I'm still going to act like I'm broke, even though I'm out of debt. So Paula's right. That's the first thing I did. Is I said, okay, what are my debts? I just helped my homegirl do this, and I won't mention her because I don't want to embarrass anybody, but she said, how did you do it? And I said, okay, I'm going to give you this step one, and then because I don't want to overwhelm people. So I said, step one, girlfriend, I want you to get all your bills and when everything is due and write it down.
Yes.
When I tell you 2 days later, she just texted me today like, why do I feel not overwhelmed anymore? Now I see everything on paper. I thought I had more, and like I gave her an aha moment, and she's so happy, because the problem is we see the elephant and we're like, I gotta eat that whole thing. No, you cut it up in the pieces, boo-boo. Cut it up in the pieces. Okay, so 2 things I want to ask you, and then we will go. I love you guys for watching. Thank you. Again, this is Paula, my financial guru and sister, and we're about to go on a trip together.
Lake Tahoe, because you know what? Now she can ball.
Exactly. I'm excited. So, okay, 2 questions. Let me remember my questions. Okay, so I just got out of debt, and I have a little nugget. Doing a little fixes around my house. I just called Benton PUD today about heating and air. I'm going to get a quote for that. I got my dishwasher, going to get this ceiling fan fixed.
Our house is beautiful.
Right. Hey, listen, God is good. I'll tell you what. I thought when my water heater flooded last year, this is how new I am at owning a house. I've been in a house now 6 years. Last year it was 5. I didn't know that your home insurance paid for it, so I was freaking out for like 12 hours. And my friend said, don't you have home insurance?
It's just like,
I was like, oh, is that what that's for? Like, I had no idea. But anyway,
house is beautiful.
Thank you. Beautiful. So I got a dishwasher, so I'm fixing up a little thing. There's a hole over here. So fixing up a little. So I budgeted. So after I got the amount of money, the check that I got, I literally cried because I was like, I've never seen a check this big. This is crazy. I Exceled it out, and I said, okay, I'm paying myself first. This is my nugget. What can I do after that? So that's when I was like, okay, dishwasher, do that. So with that nugget, I want it to grow, obviously, in savings, and I want it to become my 6 to 12 month emergency fund. Right now, for me, it would be a 3-month emergency fund. How can I have that little nugget grow? What's the first thing I should do with that?
Take that entire amount and go to all of your local credit unions. I would say Capo, I'd say STCU and GISA. GISA has a great rate right now, but get a CD. This is the thing I love about CDs. Not only will her money grow, but if she had an emergency in the interim, they could give her a loan against what she's got in the CD, number one, because it would be a secured loan, so you don't lose that money. Number 2, her money's gaining interest, and if she takes the money out in less than 12 months, there's a penalty.
And so that'll make me not want to do that.
An incentive not to take your money out.
Okay, good. Okay.
And the wonderful thing about those 3 credit unions, and I'm sure there's some others that do it, but they will let you add to that in $100 increments. So whatever the nugget is she puts in, if she wants to continue to pay herself, she can keep adding in $100 increments. And in a year, she might have 10,000, she might have 15, you might have 20.
Shut up.
Yes.
Okay, so hold on. And I mean that in a nice way, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So hold on. So a CD obviously is better than a regular savings account because that doesn't grow. It doesn't really grow.
Grows too slow.
Right. So if you put it in CD, now is 12-month the lowest, or is there a 6-month, or is there
6-month is pretty rare. It's usually 12-month, but you can have CDs. I mean, I have one for my daughter that went out 10 years.
Wow. Yeah, so you can do that if you have a child now, or maybe the child is 10 or 8 or something, and you're like, this is going to be their college fund. You can start that now.
College fund or trust. Yeah, we put $25,000 in it, and when she was, I think, like 8, we booked it out for 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah. That way we didn't spend the money.
Yeah.
And then when she turned 18, it was like, hey, you're going off to the university. Here you go.
Wow. Yeah. That's a good little nugget right there. That's good. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm going to put this away for a year. And we'll check in October 2020, and I'll tell you how much it grew. Maybe.
And I'm going to come back a year from now, and she's going to tell you what she put in, the amount of interest, and then what she paid herself. Watch how her money grows. I'm so excited for that.
Okay, perfect. And then I had another question. Dang it, I think I forgot it. It was about what should I do with my money? Yep. And there it is. I forgot it. So
if she thinks about it, we'll
I'm like, hold on. Come on, subconscious, help me out. It was about my money, and then I wanted to ask you one more thing about money.
Save it. Pay yourself first.
Yes.
And if its credit isn't good, there's credit testing and credit karma. Yes.
I'm glad you said that. Yes, I have credit karma. I love it. That was my question. So now for me, I've cut up all my credit cards except one. What do you think? So now I'm out of debt or whatever. What would your advice be as my financial sister? What amount of credit, what's the limit on my credit card that I should have? Or should I just not even have one?
No more than 30%. This is what I say. I usually tell people don't charge any more than you can pay off at the end of the month. But to just be realistic, if you had a credit card with a limit of $10,000 and you're charging $3,000, as long as you are at 35% or below, it doesn't really have an adverse impact on your credit.
Okay.
And so, you need to have credit because you need to have it. Number one, banks look at that. It shows that you are financially savvy and trustworthy, but also in case of an emergency, so you can borrow from you.
Okay.
And so, I would just say whatever your limit is, no more than 30 to 35% of that limit.
On that list. So if I'm like, I'm going to go on a shopping spree, make sure it's paid off in a month.
Make sure it's paid off
don't have it higher than 30% of 10,000 or 30% of 5,000 or 30, whatever it is.
I tell people, if you've got the little credit card that's got a $1,000 limit, $300 is your threshold of pain, and you can carry that $300. Don't go over that, because once you exceed 30%, it actually starts dropping the credit score by about 10 points.
Oh, okay. Yep. Now, I will say what Paul said about Credit Karma, that saved me. Dude, listen, I was getting a little too much, though, because every week I was like, where's my credit card? Because when I got into that debt, my credit score dipped to like 650. And I knew, I was like, if I can get it back up to 710 or something, I can then refinance my house, because I knew the way the market was going. Shout out to my girl, Katie Guamer, who was my loan girl. And as soon as it got over 700, I called her. I said, okay, girl, I'm here, because she knew. I called her. I was crying, and she, oh my goodness. So she was like, maybe in a couple months you can refinance. The market looks well right now. And I paid $97,000 for this house, Paula.
It's a beautiful house.
It appraised, because you have to get it appraised when you're going to either refinance or sell it. It appraised for $188,000.
Double her investment
in 6 years. I said, where? I would not have bought this house for $188. Where? But I was happy because I got a check.
So our next conversation is going to be about investing in real estate to build wealth.
Okay, yeah. So that, right. So right now it's, yes, Christina said, what? She went to Howard. Shout out to Howard. Yeah, girl.
Building black wealth.
Hey, Christina, you see that? H-U.
That's how you build wealth.
So
ownership.
yeah, we'll have to have,
maybe
we'll do this like once a month or whatever. Yeah. And so my next step right now, like I said, is fixing up the little things, putting my nugget in savings, and then I'll ask you about that next step. I will say I already have a 401k. I'm putting money in that.
Yes.
I will keep an emergency fund, probably about $1,500 outside of the CD. The CD nugget is the biggest nugget I don't ever take it, because I don't want to touch it. And that you have to hide money from yourself.
You have to hide money from yourself.
Yeah, that's another trick that I learned, and Dave Ramsey teaches that as well. You got to hide it. It does have to be accessible, because it should be your emergency fund. And so just in case tire blows, your water heater busts, but life still happens as you're climbing out of debt. but you can do it. Okay, so if you are wondering, girl, how to design your life, how to create a life like mine or Paula's, now, not exactly like, because you are you, I am me. If you want to create that life, if you want me to help you with that, if you can admit that you need help, if you are sad because you're single, if that overwhelms you, I got you, girl, okay? I got you. So go ahead and sign up. The link here on Instagram is in my bio. I will put it here on Facebook because I think I forgot to put the link. But I love you guys for watching, and you have a great weekend. Paula, thank you so much.
You are so welcome. Be blessed and be wealthy.
All right, bye. Bye.